Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. Robert Fowler expected to plead guilty in death of 20-year-old accounting clerk. Education Ministry seeking consensus on dress and grooming policy debate. And later in sports, Windies suffer close defeat in first T20 against Australia. I'm Shane Masters and here are the details. The Home Circuit Court should today hear whether St. Catherine mechanic Robert Fowler, who is charged with the murder of 20-year-old accounting clerk Khanice Jackson, will enter a guilty plea. The hearing has been stood down twice after attorney Lyndall Wellesley told the court that his client has not received the requisite medical attention ordered by the court. Mr. Wellesley told the court that an ultrasound that was scheduled to be administered was not done. Before standing down the matter for a second time, Justice Vinette Allen requested that the custody officer appear via Zoom to inform the court why the accused was not taken to the Kingston Public Hospital. Khanice Jackson, who resided in Independent City, Portmore, St. Catherine, was found dead on March 26 last year, 2 days after she had been reported missing. Her decomposing body was found in an open lot near the Portmore fishing village. Fowler was taken into custody and charged after he reportedly confessed. The police have theorized that Fowler lured the woman to his home under the guise that he had left one of his tools. While there, an argument reportedly developed with Jackson, and he allegedly used a rope to strangle her. The Member of Parliament for Western St. Andrew wants the new and improved landfill to be developed in the community of Riverton. The government has announced that the Riverton City Dump will be closed and a proper landfill developed in another area. For Anthony Hilton, the people of Riverton should be part of the discussions.
For sound environmental reasons, build a proper landfill on the remainder of the more than 100 acres of land already dedicated to waste disposal and the management of waste. And to develop a waste energy industry that we have long argued for.
Mr. Hilton was making his contribution to the State of the Constituency debate in the House on Tuesday. He added that the residents of Riverton are creative and ambitious.
I'm anxious to see the development of a modern landfill and for the waste to be properly managed for productive purposes. But I want to see it done in Riverton, with the people of Riverton. No other group of persons anywhere in Jamaica knows waste and the value of waste better than the people of Riverton.
The Education Ministry is seeking a consensus from stakeholders in creating a grooming policy for schools, starting with an online meeting with parents last evening. The grooming policy is believed to be the solution to the recurring uniform standoff school administrators, students, and parents have each year. Krista Campbell has the details.
A policy document is now being developed to provide guidance in the dress and grooming policy for schools across the island. It comes after there was public uproar when students of the Godfrey Stewart High School in Westmoreland claimed they were barred from the school because of the length of their uniforms. That drew the ire of a number of parents who staged a protest at the gates of the school last month. The Education Ministry policy draft was shared during a virtual meeting with parents Tuesday night. Among the objectives of the new policy will be public awareness and the increased participation of stakeholders to include students. Now, the new policy will have to be documented in line with the overarching policy of the Education Ministry. Director of the Policy Analysis and Research Unit within the Education Ministry, Dr. Stephen Carr, further outlined the policy standards. He says the rules should have a legitimate aim and should be principle-based and appropriate to a school setting.
We also want to ensure the rule is clear. Some is Martin in our backyard up in Moko won't come to another understanding as to what this rule is saying. The rule is so clear that anybody can follow. We want to ensure that somebody is responsible. A rule should allocate responsibility. Whose responsibility is to ensure that this happens? So it won't happen on day one of school next semester because there's somebody ensuring that this don't happen.
Dr. Carr says the policy standards should also be enforceable. But one parent voiced her displeasure in having the policy being left up to individual schools.
We live in a very hot climate, right? Why is it necessary for a young lady in a box-pleated skirt, not even a cotton skirt, but some other thick material, to have her skirt the length just above her socks? What is that proving? And these are the ridiculous things that happen when we leave schools to make up their own policy.
She says if a national policy was created, it would alleviate the challenges schools are facing. But Education Minister Favour Williams says the ministry will be there to provide guidance, but not to tell a school board how to operate in terms of dress and grooming. She says that discussion should be had through an open dialogue with the stakeholders of the institution.
Dress and grooming is not a matter of life and death, so we must be able to engage in a peaceful process.
For President of the National Parent Teachers Association of Jamaica, NPTAJ,
in the case where we do not ascribe, there ought to be a civil method in which discontentment are channeled, not to demonstrate with placards and bring a school into the public domain negatively. Instead, through the PTA and other such bodies, a forum should be so designed to mutually figure out.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
Gang conflict continues to be a major issue for the St. Ann Police, especially in the community of Steertown. According to data from the police, up to October 4 this year, 6 murders were committed in that community. That's the same number as the corresponding period of 2021. The cops say 4 of the murders this year are gang-related, whilst for the corresponding period in 2021, 5 were gang-related. It's why the police in the parish say they are keeping a watchful eye on the community.
The Steertown community is on our radar, and we have implemented and will continue with our operations in Steertown with a view to ensure that we contain the situation there. We have seen a slight increase in murders, gang violence. We have the Hothead, the YPC, and other gangs that are operating in this space. We have targeted several persons. It's just a few days ago we recovered a 9mm, a Glock 26 pistol, through intelligence operation.
The House of Representatives has adopted the Joint Select Committee report on the Jamaica Customs Act 2020. Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark tabled the report on Tuesday. The committee recommended, among other things, that the definition of goods be amended to include any form of currency.
This seeks to clarify that the customs framework applies to the import and export of large sums of cash by various financial institutions. Tax Administration Jamaica and the Tax Policy Division of the Ministry of Finance were not opposed to the recommendation.
Opposition spokesman on Industry and Investment, Anthony Hilton, said consultation on the 852-page bill was wide-ranging. Now, it seeks to provide a modern framework to make it easier to do business.
The discerning and concerning stakeholders had an opportunity to participate and to give of their views on the proposed amendments. I agree with him that rather than just tabling this document, this report, and sort of let it sit, that there is an opportunity to begin to engage the Jamaican people, particularly the business sector, but not exclusively the business sector, because this will touch every Jamaican, whether you import or export, or simply just buy products.
And it's now time for the Business Minute with Cody and Barrett.
In business news, the World Bank says it does not forecast a recession for Jamaica. Speaking at a press briefing on Tuesday, Chief Economist for Latin America and the Caribbean at the World Bank, William Maloney, said while the country's projection for growth in 2023 has been lowered, it is still expected to grow.
Jamaica worried about a recession. Jamaica is doing, we're forecasting 2.0% for next year, which is above the regional average. Of course, these are estimates, so things can go wrong, but at present, we're not predicting a recession.
In business internationally, one of the world's largest microchip manufacturers, Micron, announced on Tuesday that it would open a semiconductor plant in upstate New York. It is promising an investment of up to $100 billion over 2 decades and a plant that could bring 50,000 jobs to the state. The company was lured to the Syracuse area with help from a generous set of federal, state, and local incentives, including up to $5.5 billion in state tax credits over 20 years. That's it for the Business Minute. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
And here's a preview of what's coming up in this evening's Health Report.
In this evening's Health Report, we'll look at oral hygiene.
A lot of people have a lot of citrus juices and citrus fruits. When you have citrus frequently, it tends to soften the teeth. It leaches some of the calcium out of the teeth. So you should rinse before you brush. And I think you should be careful not to leave remnants of lime orange juice in your mouth, because it can lead to erosion of the tissues of the teeth.
That's the Health Report in Primetime News at 7. And now for today's Health 11 tip. Brush your teeth twice a day. Visit your dentist every 6 months. Maintain a healthy diet. Keep hydrated throughout the day and don't smoke.
And it's now time for top regional and international stories.
In the region, the government of Cuba is fulfilling a health agreement with Mexico by sending 84 Cuban doctors to the Central American nation to offer their services. The doctors will help make up for the shortage of health professionals in Mexico and increase to 436 the number of Cubans hired in Mexico. The bilateral agreement includes the hiring of some 600 Cuban specialists to bring medical care to remote and vulnerable areas of Mexico, including communities with indigenous populations. On the international scene, authorities in New York have arrested a woman and seized 15,000 pills as part of a fentanyl trafficking operation. The drugs were hidden in a Lego box. Authorities surveilling a Manhattan street allegedly saw Latesha Bush get into a car with a large object. But when they stopped the vehicle, they found multicolored pills inside several brick-shaped packages. It's the largest seizure to date in New York City. The pills allegedly originated in Mexico, where cartels have been producing fentanyl in rainbow colors to mimic candy or legitimate prescription drugs. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Cody Ann Barrett.
That's the Midday News. I'm Shane Masters. Join us at 7 for Primetime News. On behalf of the news, sports, and production teams, have a good afternoon.